What's going on, YouTube? Gabriel right here representing the movement towards improvement. Today's video, I simply wanted to compare Tiger Woods' 2000 swing versus his 2013-2015 swing. Now, the purpose of this video is to get you to question what type of golf swing are you trying to get and what instruction should we listen to. My goal is simply to provide another perspective, a different side of the story between Butch's concepts and Sean Foley's concepts. I'm not saying anyone's right or wrong, but we're going to try to state some objective differences and ask you what you think is better and why. Now, most people would agree that Tiger Woods' most dominant years were the early 2000s, 1999, 2000, and in 2000 in particular, which we have here, his swing on the left. He played in 20 PGA Tour events. He had 9 wins, almost one half of his tournaments, had 17 top 10s, and won 3 majors. Now, in 2000, he averaged 298 yards off the tee and averaged 71% of his fairways hit in regulation, ranking him in total driving number 1, first place. And in 2013, I wanted to pick a swing from Tiger when he was doing good under Foley. He won 5 times that year, and he averaged 293 yards off the tee and hit 62% of his fairways, total driving ranked 17th. So there's just a few stats, and I honestly don't think those mean a lot right now, considering that these two Tigers were at completely different stages of their life. Tiger Woods here in 2000 on the left in the light blue was in his prime. He had that innocence, but he had that mature, aggressive alpha male game. And in 2013, he went through that scandal earlier in 09, I think it was. And, we don't know what his mentality is like more of these later years. We don't know. His physical body has taken a big toll as well. In his personal life, he has kids, and we don't know if he's practicing as much. So we can't really put all the blame on just the differences between the swings, because we're just looking at two different Tigers in general. So let's just try to take a little bit of a look at some of the big differences here. Now, I know these camera angles aren't identical, and I'm fully aware of parallax and all the 2D distortions. I'm not trying to get super precise with to what degree these swings are different, just kind of the general concepts that are different between Butch and Foley. So I'm drawing some lines here on the right leg and on the head. Okay, so basically what we're going to look here in 2000 here on the left. If we take this back, we're going to see just a slight lateral move off the ball, and we can see that by Tiger Woods' right pant leg get outside that line. We can also see him also turning that right leg more than we're going to see here on the right. We can see his head moving off the ball, behind the ball, and staying a little taller, I would say, than we're going to see here in 2013 at Torrey Pines. So we'll take this back. And if anything, we can kind of see his right hip actually move a little bit more back towards the target. We'll take him to the back. We can also see his head stay a little more centered, right? He's not moving off the ball as much. And if you had followed some of Foley's concepts, it was a more center-based pivot. We can see him dip down a little bit more, I think. I think this cameraman on the right is moving around, but we can just see in general, if you look at his knees on the right, we can see them dip down a little more than we did on the left. So he's staying more centered. He's dipping down slightly more, and we can see he's not getting his hands as vertical, right? They're a little higher here in 2000. But I would say the bigger concept is on the right, he's got a little less hip turn. Okay, he's keeping that right leg a little more braced, not as much turn in that right leg. Shoulder turn, thoracic spine, the upper body is not turned as much, and because that, we don't see the hands and arms get as far back in the 2013 swing, and we see him dip down a little bit. So now as we go into impact, one of the other big concepts we're going to see is if we go to impact, we're going to see him slide a little more to the right, I would say, in these later years, 2013, 2015. We could draw a line, and you can kind of see how his leg is more vertical, almost 90 degrees, his left leg. And I know the camera angle isn't right, but if you look at other swings from this year, you will see the same thing with a better camera angle. So just bear with me here. We can see this leg is pointed a little more back towards the target, which we'll see with people who hit the ball further or just have a tendency to rotate better. Now, one of the cool things I want to point out to you guys that you might not be aware of that seemingly quite a few PGA Tour players do is look at this left foot right here. Through impact, you're going to see it actually spin and come back. Okay, what that's telling me, he's continuing to rotate this femur right here and also his pelvis, the left side of his hip is continuing through the ball. So boom, and it's actually coming backwards, so he's staying more centered with the lower body through impact. Now, a lot of people actually don't like to see this left foot actually spin and come backwards. That doesn't really go hand in hand with the kinematic sequence, right? A lot of people like to see the lower body, especially the left leg and left foot, to actually brace and decelerate so that the transfer can be sent through the torso, arms, and hands, more like a whipping action. So a lot of people who believe in the kinematic sequence don't like that specific motion. But if we look at a lot of good players and drivers of the ball, and you're only going to mainly see people do this with the driver when they're swinging a little harder. Obviously, you're not going to see nobody do this with a 7-iron or wedge in their hand. And this also doesn't mean that you have to do this to drive the ball well. But here we have Billy Horschel. If we look at his left foot through the ball, and he's averaging one of the better drivers of the ball. Once again, he's spinning it. There's no weight on that during impact, so very interesting to see. And I actually just ripped a video of Dustin Johnson off Instagram for my buddy the Mark Acosta. I love stealing videos off Instagram. So here we go. If you look at this left foot, once again, we can see it spin and actually come back. So a lot of people are telling you to transfer your weight to your left side, to bump, to slide, to get over onto your left and post up. But we don't see the farthest and straightest drivers doing that. Here's Bubba Watson, and we can kind of see his front foot actually come up through impact and turn out as well. So we see this with a lot of the good ball strikers today, even Spieth. And really the bigger picture here is that they're continuing to rotate. Like I said, a lot of people are wanting to decelerate, use the ground reaction forces perhaps, and jump up and throw the hands and arms for more speed. But I think that actually only takes away distance and actually inhibits accuracy, because the more, from what I've seen, the more you're able to rotate through the ball, the more you're able to keep a more stable club face and not flip or roll it as much. Here's a video of Patrick Reed doing a very similar thing. There you go, through impact. They're turning that left leg, they're turning the left side of their pelvis, and they're getting through the ball, which ends up helping a more stable release. And that's what we saw Tiger Woods do in 2000. Now, Bubba Watson even said that he thinks, and from what I've heard from other biomechanist golf coach, we actually think this is easier on the body. When there's no weight and you're floating that left foot off the ground, there's no tension. Now, if you stand up in your room right now and you plant your left foot and you turn around it, keeping that foot planted while you're turning your leg opposite direction, you're going to feel some tension. If you lift that thing up and turn it, there's nothing there to kind of counteract that rotation. Here's a article of Bubba Watson. He said, "This might look like an off-balance finish, but it doesn't feel off-balance to me. I suspect my funny finishes relieve pressure on my joints. If my front foot stayed glued to the ground from start to finish, the stress on my knee might lead to problems. I'm not saying copy this move, but staying healthy isn't a bad idea." So we can see that there shouldn't be anything wrong with this, in my opinion, or at least what I've been seeing. But too many people are telling you to slide left, bump, transfer weight, and keep it there. And a lot of people who believe in the kinematic sequence want that left foot to stay stable, not roll, and not turn. Now we have Tiger Woods' swing from 2015. This was at the Waste Management Open, so just maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. Under Como, so I kind of see just a little bit. He's turning his right side a little more. His right leg's turned out more. He's staying a little taller. His backswing looks a little longer. I think Foley promoted a little more inside, a little shorter backswing, more compact. But one of the weird things that we saw Waste Management at Torrey Pines was Tiger Woods starting to really slide more forward, a little more laterally once again with this right foot. Look at this right foot go more laterally towards the target. And if we look here on the left in 2000, a lot of coaches or people who look at biomechanical information or data or movements are looking a lot of so-called pelvis tilts, just to sound professional and try to impress you. It's just kind of the level of the hips in terms of, is the right hip higher, the left hip higher, or vice versa. If we look right here, we can see that Tiger Woods in 2000 had a lot more level pelvis, and in 2015 you can see him starting to work with this right hip more under, kind of more that old reverse C type look. So once again, we're going to see more of a jump here through impact. I mean, he's not rotating his pelvis very well. And this is the thing, you guys, that I want to share is Hunter Mahan is one of Foley's students, but I think that some of the students, or the best students, are those who are bad listeners, who are stubborn, because I don't think Foley and Rose are doing what Foley's teaching to the extent that Tiger did. Okay, if we look at Hunter Mahan here, here's a video of Hunter Mahan, and it looks like he does stay pretty centered on the backswing with his lower body. We can see his head move off, and he stays pretty tall. I mean, he stays the exact same height he was at address. But what I like a lot more about Hunter's swing is how much he rotates his pelvis to impact and through the ball, upper and lower body actually. So we can see this left hip, and mind you, you can actually see how much more level Hunter's pelvis is too than Tiger Woods as he's starting to push off with the right and jump up. So Hunter's just rotating much better than Tiger, and I think that's once again going to help with club face stability and a more consistent path and club face contact. We can see Hunter snapping this left leg and going backwards, and Tiger Woods has got more of this jump and slide, and that's really what Foley promoted.
So their center of mass in through here is never shifting further away, knowing that it would have to shift back. So as you get into here, you stay centered through here and then move your centers forward to help with getting you to strike down on the golf ball.
So as you can see, he's promoting more of a slide type action, and I know he's actually, I think, talking more about an iron right here, but you can see Tiger Woods do that with a driver, and we don't see Hunter Mahan slide like that with an iron. We don't see Rose stay that centered and that lateral, but I believe that Tiger Woods is such a perfectionist that he will do whatever you tell him. He'll hit as many balls, and he will do it to the minute detail. So if Sean Foley is telling Tiger Woods to stay centered, to not move off the ball, to squat more in the downswing so he can jump more and use more ground reaction forces in the downswing, move more laterally, push off and jump up, then I think Tiger Woods will do it, even if it goes against what he maybe intuitively knows or feels that might not help him. He'll do it. I think Hunter Mahan and Rose aren't doing what Foley's teaching to the extent, and because of that, I think they've been getting better results. Also here on the right, once again, you can see that he is keeping this left leg more planted, because the people in the certain people believe this is more stability, and you can break the lower body harder and fire the upper body more easily. But understand that usually when you get this more lateral movement like they did back in the old days, with this anterior pelvic shift, or getting that lower body, I guess in layman terms, a little more out in front of you, you can put a little more strain on your lower back. And if you're just putting just a tiny bit more strain on your lower back, if you take into account how many balls Tiger Woods is hitting, right? If he's hitting 100, 200, 300, 500 balls a day, that really adds up. And I mean, we're kind of seeing it. We don't really know whose fault it is. I mean, we can't really take Tiger's word, but supposedly Tiger Woods has the resources to the best biomechanical coaches, injury prevention guys in the whole world, and yet his swing hasn't really gotten much better, and his body hasn't got much better. I mean, he's still withdrawing with so-called back issues, and we don't know if that's the truth. You can't really believe Tiger. He might be just having the chip and yips and just using that as an excuse. So, you guys, I just wanted to kind of share this information with you so you can make, my friends, my viewers, people who can support me, can make the best informed decision you can, and just know different sides of the story, because there are people that are teaching certain things that I don't necessarily agree with. I'm going to share with you guys one of my students started teaching, 13 years old. He's only been playing golf for 8 months, but he's played baseball his whole life. By the way, Bubba Watson said he played baseball for 14 years. I didn't know that. I just watched a video. But one of the things we can see is how well he rotates his pelvis, his upper body through the ball. And we can even see his left foot, his left leg, his left side of his pelvis continue to rotate well. Look how his left foot comes off the ground, spins like that. And we can look at his release pattern. No flipping, no rolling whatsoever. And you guys, I did not teach him this. He naturally had this. I helped him with one thing this day. But he has this swing naturally. And I just want to, make you guys more aware, because there are certain people who would want to take this athleticism out of his swing. In my opinion, they would say, Eric, your head's moving too far off the ball. You need to keep your right knee more bent. We need you to, plan into that left side, jump and push off the right, and then that would inhibit his rotation. I think he would only have to, once you start decelerating the body, I think the hands and arms have to get more active. So, it's kind of weird. It almost feels taboo to be kind of jabbing so-called some of the best golf instructors in the world. But what I learned in Hawaii, what Kelvin shared with me, is a lot of what's being taught today isn't what the best players in the world are doing. Not what the Patrick Reeds are doing, the Spieths, the Rorys, the Tiger Woods in his prime, the Bubbas, the Dustin Johnsons. So, sometimes the science and data goes against what the best are doing. And I kind of want to leave you guys with a Facebook post that was just taken just a couple days ago of Brandel Chambly. Let me read you a little comment from Brandel. Brandel says, it seems each swing has unique characteristics that in measuring hope to give within a range a cause and effect parallel. But how can one explain what Bubba does beforehand, which to say, would anyone teach his swing, and if so, how? Would anyone teach Jim Furyk's swing, and if so, how? Within these two swings are the holy grail of golf, the keys to power and precision. They are at this point the two highest ranked players from the United States in the world, yet they are looked at with arched eyebrows. Is the industry prejudiced to an aesthetic, to an ideal, that it coaches the would-be Bubbas and Furyks into the group of players whose swings we admire for the numbers on the computer, but not so much on the board? So we have to ask ourselves, just like here with Eric, would a David Ledbetter or a Sean Foley, if they had a young 16, 17, 18-year-old Bubba or a young 16, 17-year-old Furyk, would they have changed their swings? And honestly, they probably would have. And some people, I think, coaches are fitting people in too specific of a mold. And I think what I learned from Kelvin was if you study enough movement patterns of the greatest golfers, you can understand what works and what it's causing and all the similarities of these greatest players. So understand that, only telling Bubba to keep his lead foot planted and stable and doing certain things would only ruin him. And same thing with Furyk. So sometimes the best players are the most stubborn. They know not to listen to people. Same with Spieth, and I just want to share with you guys. So if someone's telling you to keep your left foot stable, or to not roll it, or not twist it, or not let it float off the ground with a driver, or to inhibit your hip turn or shoulder turn, etc., or to not, have too long of a backswing, you have to ask them, did Nicklaus do that? Does Bubba Watson do that? Does Dustin do that? Does Spieth do that? Does Reed do that? Does Rory do that? And he needs to provide enough information from a majority of tour players to make his claim. And if the best players in the world aren't doing it, then I'm not going to tell young Eric here that he needs to do it as well. And I told his dad that. I said, hey, if anybody's trying to give him any tips or pointers on what to do, I say, you consult me first, because he's doing a lot of good things I'm seeing the best players in the world doing. He's doing it naturally, just like they did, just like the J.B. Holmes, just like the Furyks, etc. So anyways, you guys, there are no good and bad coaches. They're not to say that people with pressure plates and K-vests and AMM are teaching the opposite what I teach or whatnot. It always comes down to the specific instructors' concepts and philosophies on the swing. So anyways, you guys, I hope you learned something. I hope I'm going to try to go against the grain of what I see out there. And I think my next video I'm going to do of Michelle Wie, you guys. I found videos of Michelle Wie's 2004 swing, and it is absolutely amazing, and it looks a lot like the Tiger Woods 2000 swing, and once again, it's considerably different than her swing today. So you guys, leave your comments below. Let me know what you think of some of the new age instruction versus maybe the Tiger, the Bubba, the Dustins, and the Jack Nicklauses, and the Sneeds, and the Rorys. And just tell me what you think, you guys, and what you're doing with your swing, or if some of the new age stuff has helped you or has hurt you. Because, if I were to keep talking, my buddy Blair was playing really good a year and a half ago, shot a 61, some 66s, some 68s, and he finally had the opportunity to work with a coach, and he had never worked with a coach before. He couldn't afford one. So we thought by going to a coach, he could help him maintain his swing and maintain his good play. And, he went to the coach, and the coach told him all these things he was doing wrong, and he talked a good game, and he had a nice academy he was teaching at. And, Blair put his trust in this guy and said, you know what? This guy seems like he knows what he's talking about. The guy was telling him his swing was based on timing, and, Blair wanted to improve. And so Blair committed a year and a half to making these swing changes, and he hasn't gotten better. So you just have to be very aware and conscious of what you're being taught and why, and it needs to have enough similarities of all the greatest golfers to ever live. So thanks for watching, you guys. Please hit me up on Facebook, Gabriel M. Ryder, Instagram, PGA Tour Driven. Links all down below. Check out my membership site, you guys, and subscribe, most importantly. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.